This is the Assess Your Stress workshop. I'm just going to give it a few minutes to see, hi Janika, to see who's going to join, and then we'll get started. I just want to, perfect. All right, I'm gonna put up a slide. How's that? Can everybody hear me, by the way? Give me a thumbs up or something to let me know if you can hear me. Okay, I'm gonna take that as a yes. Yay, thank you, Jen. Okay. Perfect. I had a mic on, so I wasn't sure if the connection was picking up. That's awesome. All right. So this is Assess Your Stress. I'm so excited that you're here and that you're gonna go through this workshop with me for the next 40 minutes or so. I'm going to try to keep this as simple and non-technical as possible. I really want to give you some hands-on tools that you can go away with and start using immediately. Forgive me, I've got a few notes over here. That's just going to keep me on track and make sure that I include everything that I want to say. So, looks like we've got a few more people joining. Awesome. Hey, Elliot. All right. So, for those of you who are here live, you don't necessarily need this introduction, but for anyone else watching this later, if you don't know me, my name is Kayla Droog, and I have a master's degree from the University of Toronto. I'm a certified life coach, and I'm the creator of Soul Deep Success. So Soul Deep Success is designed to help people who are feeling stuck and uninspired in their lives to figure out what they really want, to take action, to get unstuck and get excited about their lives. And for me personally, I have found that one of the things that has kept me stuck at various points in my life is stress. So I have been in situations where I have had stressful 9-to-5 jobs. I have had high demand projects, high demand bosses. I've had toxic workplaces. I've had points where my stress has made me physically ill. And I don't want you to get to that point. I want to give you some strategies that you can use to start assessing your stress, figuring out where it's coming from, and figuring out how to deal with it so that you can nip this in the bud before you get to the point that I was at. And I really find that, it's not just the stress of the workplace or being in school, but it's also the stress of feeling like there's no way out, feeling like you have no other options, that you have to stay in the situation that you're in. And really the demands of your job or school or your family or all of your different obligations, they really keep you from being able to fully enjoy your life. And that's what I want. I want you to be excited about your life, and I want you to feel like you have some control and some tools to get you there. So really what today is all about is making sure that your stress is not dominating your life anymore. If you want to take notes, awesome, that's great. But if you don't, if you just want to enjoy this experience and be here with me for the next few minutes, then that's fine too. I've got you covered. I have created for you a PDF download that has all of the exercises that I'm going to be going through with you today. And I have also created an audio download of a little meditation that I'm going to do at the end. And both of those things are available on my website. And I'll give you more information about that at the end. So don't worry about it right now. But basically, you don't need to take notes if you don't want to. The first thing that I want to talk about is really, what is stress? What is it when we're in the moment that's going on in our bodies and in our brains? So this may surprise you because this is not the way that our society typically talks about it, but not all stress is bad. We really have this mindset that stress is something to be avoided at all costs. Stress is something that we need to get rid of, that's hurting us. And that's not entirely wrong, but there are types of stress that we do need in our lives. If you didn't have some sort of tension or motivation, you wouldn't get out of bed in the morning. You wouldn't go to work. You wouldn't do all of your day-to-day obligations. So we need some forms of stress in order to motivate us to actually do something other than just sit on the couch all day. But what we're talking about today is the bad kind of stress. So we're talking about the kind of stress where your body is in a heightened state of awareness too much of the time, and you have all of these stress chemicals happening in your brain. You've got adrenaline and cortisol and all of these things that are not healthy for you and that are hard for your body to reabsorb. And you really reach the point where the fear part of your brain starts to become stronger than the logic part of your brain. So when you're in a heightened state of stress, the primal part of your brain starts to take over. And it's really hard for you to make good decisions and to be aware of the big picture of what's happening and to really be in control. Your emotions are really what is in control in that situation. And that's not your fault. That's the way your brain was designed. So again, another thing our society does not talk about. Our brains are not designed to make us happy. Our brains are designed to keep us safe. So what this means is our brains are always on the lookout for things that it perceives as danger. The problem is we're not cavemen anymore. We don't have a saber-toothed tiger about to jump out and eat us. A lot of the dangers that we experience in day-to-day life are mental and emotional, but our brain doesn't know the difference. So our brain is going to treat a car speeding towards us the same as an intense conversation with our boss at work. And the good thing is our brain is always looking out for ways to protect us. The bad news is it doesn't always try to protect us from the right things. And this protection can keep us from peace and tranquility and happiness in our lives. So our brains are inherently wired to look for the negative because that's where the danger is. When something positive happens to us, our brain goes, okay, that's fine. We're safe right now. I don't have to worry about it. And those positive things don't get wired into our brains. But when something negative happens to us, our brains hold on to that and store it in our long-term memory. And when another negative or stressful thing happens to us, our brain looks back over every stressful or negative thing that has ever happened to us and tries to find a pattern because it's looking for how it should be reacting and handling that situation that's happening now. And what this means is in any given stressful situation, your brain is pulling in patterns and reactions from things that might have happened to you weeks, months, or decades ago. So, today we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the things that we can do about that. So, as you can see on your screen here, I hope, the first thing we're going to go through is a quick exercise to calm stress in the moment. And then we're going to go through 2 exercises to kind of assess your stress and where you're at with your stress today, things that might be contributing to your stress, to give you a bit more awareness. And then the final thing that we're going to do is a little stress assess and release meditation. So, all right. I really hope you can actually see these pictures. Okay. So when you are in the moment, you're experiencing stress, that is not the time to try to assess what is stressing you out, where it's coming from, or how to deal with it, because like I said, you are in the grip of your emotions. You are not necessarily able to disengage yourself from everything that you're feeling and everything that's coming up for you to be logical. So I'm going to teach you a little exercise that you can do right in the moment when you're experiencing stress to calm those emotions down so that you can start being a little bit more objective and examine a little bit what's going on. Because you really need to shift yourself out of that fight, flight, or freeze state before you can do anything about it. So, like I said, this is an exercise that you can do in the moment. You may want a little bit of privacy to do it, and you're going to want to pick a spot where at least for a couple minutes you're not going to be interrupted. So I would recommend going to another room where there's a door you can close, maybe going outside if you have a bit of privacy in your backyard or something. If you are at work or at school, maybe even going to the bathroom, just somewhere where you can be alone for a minute and just kind of bring yourself down and examine what's happening for you. So when you've reached that quiet, private spot, the first thing that I want you to do is just check in with yourself and really be honest about what you're feeling. And I want you to acknowledge all the different emotions that you're feeling in that moment and actually name them. So you might say, I'm feeling anxious, or I'm feeling afraid, I'm feeling angry. Name all the different emotions that are coming up for you in that moment. Then the second thing that I want you to do, which might feel a little bit weird when you first start doing it if you're not used to it, I want you to actually be a friend to those emotions. We're taught in our society that some emotions are good and some emotions are bad, and we should aim to not have any bad emotions and to have good emotions all the time. I don't know about you, but that is not how it works for me, and that is not realistic. So more negative emotions are gonna happen. You're gonna feel afraid sometimes, you're gonna feel angry, you're going to feel frustrated, you're going to be sad. That's a reality of life. But instead of looking at those emotions as something bad that you need to get rid of or suppress as quickly as possible, look at those emotions as a friend. That's your brain trying to give you a message. That is your brain trying to tell you, hey, I have something that I need to deal with here. So in this moment, I want you to accept that those emotions are just trying to give you a message and to really accept them with love and without judgment. So There's nothing wrong with feeling anxious or frustrated or scared when you've experienced a stressful situation. So you need to learn to be okay with it and accept it. And know that whatever you are feeling, any emotion at all in that moment is okay. So the final step after you have identified and befriended your emotions is to do a little bit of breathing. So if it helps, you can close your eyes, maybe put your hands on your heart, and just start breathing in and out slowly. And instead of picturing the air coming in and out of your lungs, I want you to picture the air coming in and out of your heart. This is not a situation that you are going to fix with your brain. This is a situation with emotions, and we have to deal with it with emotion, which means from the heart. So breathe in and out through your heart. And just picture that you're breathing in peace and ease and tranquility. And you're breathing out those emotions that you identified that are causing you stress. But you're not forcing them out. You're saying, all right, you've delivered your message. Thank you for that. I accept you. You can go and be free, and I'll be okay. So this may take a few minutes to start shifting and settling your emotions, especially if you've been in a really heightened, stressful situation. However, that's okay. Just keep focusing on this breathing exercise until you start to feel a shift. And once you feel that shift, that's when your emotions are no longer in control. That's when you can start using your brain a little bit, examining what happened. So that's the next part. And of course, my slides did not save in order, but that's okay. So don't worry about this slide for a minute. It'll make sense. Also, when you are in the moment and you're settling your emotions and you're doing your breathing exercise, this is not a magic instant quick fix. This stress is going to be completely gone within a few minutes. There is no magic, but it can settle it enough that you can start to deal with it and you can move forward. So when you've calmed your immediate stress state, that's when you really want to work on your awareness of where your stress is coming from, what really is underneath that stress from that immediate situation. So there are so many great tools out there: yoga, meditation, exercise, art, music, so many things that can help calm us when we're feeling stress. But unfortunately, these techniques don't always help us get to the root of our stress and what's underneath it, where it's coming from. So this next exercise is going to allow you to do a bit of assessing and gaining awareness of where your stress is really coming from. So you may or may not know this, but our thoughts, our beliefs, our habits, a lot of those are formed between birth and the age of 7. So that's when we watch our parents, we watch the people around us, and we pick up patterns and we pick up habits. And we encounter situations that make us believe things about ourselves and about the world around us. And because we are children, we accept all of those things as true. We accept that whatever our parents tell us must be true. And yes, there are a lot of things that we learn in childhood that we start to question when we're older, but that doesn't necessarily mean that those beliefs aren't still there. And that's really what this next exercise is about, is really identifying, okay, when I'm feeling stress in this kind of moment, is that really an indication of something deeper? So for example, maybe you always feel stress and anxiety when you have to go into a meeting with your boss. That's normal, right? It's stressful for us, especially if we don't know what the meeting is about. But for some people, it may be that they had an incident in their childhood, maybe with a parent or some other authority figure, that was a negative experience for them. And now they associate that negative experience with all authority figures in their lives. So it could be that the stress that they feel anytime they have to walk into a meeting with their boss is actually due to an underlying issue with authority. So if you do this next exercise, it's going to help you dig deeper into the root of the situation. So really, in order to do this assessment exercise, I would encourage you to do some tracking of your stress. And I know that that sounds like a lot of work and that may not be the style that works for everyone, but here's an exercise that I suggest. So you can make some sort of chart or table or something like that. If you download the workbook that I made that's not really a workbook, it's 2 pages for this workshop, it has a sample table in there that you can print out and use or use as a template to make your own. If you're not the type of person who likes tables, I really do, that's okay. You can do it in whatever way works for you. But I suggest that you take about a week or so and actually track stressful situations. And I want you to look for a few different things. So you may want to track the date and time, because if you're anything like me, and I would hope a lot of people, you are going to experience multiple stressful situations per day. So write down the date and time so you can keep track of them. Then you're going to write down the actual situation that happened. This can be short and sweet. Alarm didn't go off, was rushed getting ready for work. Family used up all the hot water, had to take a cold shower. Came home, kids had made a huge mess in the house, and we had company coming. Probably not right now because we're all in quarantine. But just write down enough of a description of the situation that you are going to know what it was later. No one else is going to see this, so just whatever makes sense for you. Then in the next column or section, or however you're keeping track, write down all of the feelings, all of the emotions that you can identify that you felt during that situation. And then the 4th column, this is where you're going to have to do some thinking. And this is where you're really going to have to be honest with yourself. Can you think of anything that could be an underlying cause to this stress and these emotions that you're feeling in this situation? So it may help if you actually go through the thoughts that were coming up for you in the moment about the situation, about yourself. And can you think of any beliefs or patterns or anything that might contribute to this stress? So I know for me, when I'm in situations that make me feel stressed, one of the core underlying beliefs in a lot of my stress comes down to a fear that I'm not good enough. So even doing this presentation right now, I'm sure you're shocked by this, feeling a little anxious. And that really comes down to wanting this presentation to be good and helpful. But even in situations in the workplace or in school or with obligations where I have felt stressed, it has been because I'm concerned that my work or my presence or whatever is not good enough. So there could be a lot of things that are actually underlying your stress. So are you really stressed out because of the project that you're working on at work? Or are you concerned that maybe you're not good enough at your job? Is it really that you're so stressed out because you're running around all the time for your kids? Or is it because you're worried that you have to be all the things and be there all the time to be a good mom? So do you see how there's that stressful situation, but then there's all these other things happening underneath? And that's really what you want to dig down to. And then the last thing that I want you to keep track of is the intensity of the stressful situation. So not every stressful situation is going to be the same. So I woke up late for work, might be a 2 or a 3. I have to give a big presentation, might be an 8 or a 10. So this can help you see kind of what are your consistent red alert sort of stressors. And if you are going to do this tracking exercise for about a week or so, I would recommend that you pick a week that is more of an ordinary week, a good indicator of what your life is generally like, and not a week where you have a bunch of big things happening, because of course you are going to be extra stressed when you have special, unusual things happening. But if you really want to identify what your patterns are and what your beliefs are, I want you to pick more of an ordinary week. That's going to give you a better indication of where your stress is actually coming from. And you may think, oh, in an ordinary generic week, I don't have that much stress happening, but you may experience a low level of consistent stress so much that that has become your normal, and you don't even recognize that you are in a stress state much of the time. And let me tell you, I have been there. So, another way that you can dig even deeper into your stress, beyond just doing this little bit of a tracking exercise, is to do a little bit of journaling. Now, if journaling is not something that speaks to you, you can use these prompts in another way. You can use them for some meditation, or you can think about them while you go for a walk or work out. You can have a conversation using these questions with someone that you love and trust. And these are some of the questions that I suggest. And again, these are on the worksheet and they're a little bit expanded on the worksheet. So don't worry about writing these down right now if you don't want to. So the first thing to do is to pick a stressful situation that happened to you. So you may want to, if you're doing the tracking exercise, go through each of the stressful situations or some of the big ones and do this journaling exercise for them individually. So pick your stressful situation. What did you feel in that moment? What thoughts were coming up for you? What were all the emotions? And one thing that journaling does have as a pro is that you can kind of disconnect your brain a little bit and just write and just let whatever comes up come out. And I really encourage you, whatever way you choose to use these prompts, to kind of do it that way. Just let anything come up, no judgment, no holds barred, and anything that you feel, just anything that comes up, just record it. So the next question is, why did this cause you stress? why was this situation stressful? What was it about the situation that was stressful? And, why did it bring up those thoughts and feelings in particular? And then the next thing that you want to do is really dig deep and ask yourself, can I think of any connected underlying causes for this stress? And this is the point where really getting honest, letting whatever comes up come up, can be really helpful and maybe even surprising, because you may feel or think something about that situation. There may be a memory from your past that you forgot that you had. Things may come up that you are not immediately aware of. And these next two questions are a little more general. So, how does my stress impact my life? Again, really get honest with yourself here. So, how does your stress affect the way that you show up in your life, that you experience your life? How does it affect your enjoyment of your life? And really, what are ways that your stress might be controlling you? What are things that your stress might be costing you? So really dig deep on this question. And then the final question is, how does my stress affect my thoughts about my life and about myself? So what are the things that you have been telling yourself? What are the things that you have been believing about yourself because of the things that have made you stressed and the way that stress has made you act in your life? So have you been telling myself, oh, if I was worthy of having this job, it wouldn't stress me out so much? Or if I really had what it takes to make this work, it wouldn't be so stressful. It wouldn't be so hard. If I was a better mom, I wouldn't be so stressed out about doing all of these things for my kids all the time. What are the stories that you're telling yourself? And when you really get clear on everything that you think and believe and feel in moments that you're experiencing stress, that's when you can really start to question these thoughts that you're having. That's when you can really start to ask yourself, okay, I have a belief that I'm not a good mom, friend, dad, sister, brother, whatever, employee, boss. Are these things true? And so the whole point of doing a tracking exercise and then digging deeper with journal prompts is to get yourself in the habit of examining what is actually happening when you're experiencing stress, and then to question it as close to the moment as you possibly can. So when we have a moment when we have experienced stress, we have a window of about an hour where if we can kind of turn that around, then it may not get locked in to our long-term memory and it may not become part of our stress pattern. But you have to act fast. So that's when you use that initial exercise to calm what you're feeling in the moment. And then you really dig deep and do an assessment. So I'm not suggesting that you have to do this tracking exercise forever. A week or so is probably good to get those patterns to come to light. But you're really training yourself to kind of do that a little more automatically in the moment without having to write it down. To just say, okay, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? What am I believing? Is that true? So, what I would like to do now is to walk you through a little bit of a guided meditation. And I have also recorded this meditation, and I've tried to keep it fairly short so that if you wanted to put this recording on your phone and keep it with you when you have a situation when you're experiencing stress, you can throw this recording on and take 5 minutes and kind of calm your stress down and figure out what's coming up for you. And this will kind of walk you through the exercises that we've just done. So, this I am going to read from my notes so that I make sure that I get it all in. So I invite you to actually do this meditation with me right now. Normally, I would close my eyes. I'm going to keep them open so I can read my notes. But I invite you to find a position that feels comfortable for you. It might be sitting, it might be lying down. Please don't fall asleep on me. You can stand if that feels comfortable for you, whatever you would like. You can do this with your eyes open or closed, however you feel comfortable. So, let's take a moment, and I invite you just to take a few deep breaths and connect to your breath and to your body. So let's take a few deep breaths together. In and out. In and out. If it feels safe for you to do so, I invite you now to call to mind a recent situation in which you experienced stress. And if you feel comfortable, step into this moment of stress. What were you feeling when you were under stress? What emotions came up for you? What were your thoughts during that situation? Can you think of any underlying fears or beliefs that might have added to your stress in that moment? I invite you now to befriend the emotions from your stressful situation. Treat these emotions with love and without judgment. Recognize that emotions are not good or bad, just sources of information. So repeat after me, either out loud or in your head. I recognize that not all stress is bad. I recognize that not all thoughts are true. I know that my stress does not define me. I thank my brain for keeping me safe. I thank my emotions for helping me know myself better. I choose to release my stress. To help your stress emotions to shift, I invite you now to place your hands on your heart. As you continue to breathe slowly and deeply, picture the air coming in and out through your heart. continue this breathing exercise in and out through your heart until your feelings of stress begin to shift. Know that your stress emotions do not define you. Your stress is not an indication of your worthiness. You have the power to control your stress. When you're ready, let your feelings of stress begin to ease. It is okay to let your stress go. Continue this heart breathing exercise as long as you need to. And when you're ready, open your eyes. All right. So again, I have recorded that meditation for you so that when you're in a heightened state, hopefully that might help walk you through it a little bit and help you to settle your emotions and come to a bit of a place of calm. And I have included a little bit of assessment in there so that if you need to examine that situation a little bit in the moment, you can. And that brings us to the end of the exercises that I wanted to walk through today. So thank you so much for being here and sharing this with me. And again, my name is Kayla. I'm from Soul Deep Success. If you would like to learn further about me or about Soul Deep Success, my website is here, souldeepsuccess.com. And info@souldeepsuccess is the email address you can use to get in touch with me. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, so you can get in touch with me there. And if anyone has any questions, you can pop them down into the comments right now. And otherwise, you can email me a question, direct message me a question. I am on Instagram and Facebook all the time with tips and exercises and meditations and inspiration. So follow me if you want to be part of that. And I don't see any questions, but that's okay. I know that I have thrown a lot of information at you in the last 40 minutes. So if you would like either of the free downloads, the Assess Your Stress PDF download or the Stress Release Meditation audio that we just did, you can go to my website, souldeepsuccess.com, and go to the free materials tab, and you can get those downloads there. Otherwise, I will see you around on social media or elsewhere. And if you have a question that you don't want to ask publicly, definitely shoot it my way. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope that this was helpful and enjoyable, maybe even relaxing. I know it's weird how excited I am to talk about stress, but I could talk about this stuff for more workshops, and stay tuned for future workshops because guaranteed that's going to happen. Thank you so much. Have a good night.